Hippie Pastor, show number 2. Ladies and gents, let's just get right on with it. Why waste time, talking jibberjash. What happened? Okay, so as you all know from show number 1, tragedy. Tragedy hit my family unexpectedly when my father passed away when I was like 12 years old and a devout Catholic. Everyone freaked. Every single one of my family members freaked in their own way. But we don't want to right now hear about how they freaked. Right now we're talking about me, the hippie pastor, how I freaked. I was a devout Catholic at the age of 12, very faithful in service to Catholicism and to God. I loved God. And we had a very good family and a very good family life, middle class, with everything all the comforts and conveniences of modern society. But when this happened to my old man and whatnot and whatever, the first thing that hit me was, as a 12-year-old boy, God. How could God? I really believed in God. I mean, I just wasn't a member of the Catholic religion. I also really and truly believed in God. And I blamed it on God. I put the rap on God. I said, man, how could you have allowed this to such a devout Catholic as myself? The destruction of my family? And needless to say, I was confused. Then we were living in Lima, Peru, and then my mom, she sent us away. She sent me and my brother back to America. He went to college and in his own path, and I went back to New York to my grandmother's house in a neighborhood, a mixed neighborhood, which was at that time full of drugs and full of gangs, and I fell right into that. And also I had a cousin that also lived in the same house, who my grandma also adopted as she did me, you might say. And I was, growing into my teenage years, 13, 14. And so, I mean, I lost my father. I lost my whole family life. My brothers and sisters, and one sister. My mom. And my dad passed away. I mean, I was confused. So I was confused spiritually. I kept going to the Catholic Church there by habit. When I was back in New York, I kept going, but then I felt it a little bit colder, like in Latin America, the Catholic religion, or even people in general, they're more warm-blooded, more warmer, more affectionate. Even that you go into a Catholic church in Latin America, and the people are, I don't know, they're just more affectionate, more down-to-earth, less materialistic, more human, you might say, more into touching. There's more human contact. In the States, especially in those days and in the neighborhood where I lived, in the church where I was going, which was like, I don't know, very Anglo-Saxon, and they were more colder in their way of life, and so the Catholic Church was extremely, I found it like materialistic and cold, and people going in their fancy dresses and fancy outfits and fancy cars and Cadillacs and a more outward show. I felt I didn't feel any love. So then, as you could imagine, going to public schools in those days, we're talking about the late 60s, and in New York, we started experimenting with marijuana, with drugs and LSD, and forming a gang and hanging out and being cool. Little by little, before the LSD, I was sniffing glue. I mean, I found comfort. I found comfort in the gang and the friends and taking drugs together. It was wonderful. To me, drugs was a wonderful thing. So I found comfort in that. And then I declared myself an atheist. I declared myself a devout atheist. I said, from now on, I'm an atheist, man. I'm an atheist. It's God stuff. It ain't cutting it, man. It ain't cutting it with me because I was a faithful servant of the Lord, and this happened, and so I don't believe in God anymore. I mean, I just my pride, man, my pride was broken, my heart was broken. I didn't know what to do in life. My whole sense of values, because my father, I guess him and they wanted us to be professionals or whatever. We lived in a high society of Peru, kind of a rich family. So my direction was going to be different. But now I was like, and especially when I started getting into drugs and stuff, I was like, wow. And then to top it off, the hippie revolution hits town, man, and Woodstock and Led Zeppelin, and so I started to really find comfort in the hippie life and the hippie movement, and in drugs, and in marijuana, and in LSD. And I'll be honest, the first time I took LSD, and it was quality stuff. I don't know about now, how the quality of the stuff that they sell now, but in those days, we're talking about the late 60s, the LSD was nice. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. Okay. It's beautiful, man. It's a beautiful experience. And the first time I took LSD, and the first time it usually takes longer to get off, to get into the trip. Later on, it only takes like 30 minutes. You take the pill, and 30 minutes you start tripping. But the first time, I think it takes a couple hours. It took me a couple hours, but the minute it hit me, I was in another dimension. And the first thing I felt was the spirit of my father, who had passed away a couple of years ago. I felt his spirit so clear, so near, so real. And I felt the entire universe of the spirit world, and it was nighttime. And there were stars. It was a starry night. A bit cold, too, in New York at that time. And it was beautiful, and it was night, and the stars, and I felt the spirit of my father, and I got scared. I started to panic. I was all alone because I had gotten separated from my other friend that was also taking the LSD with me, who was more experienced. And I got separated from him, and then I freaked, and I started to freak out, and I started to look for him. I was yelling his name, I was running, and I saw him like really far away, like miles and miles away. And I started running toward him, and he was so far away, and then all of a sudden he was right in my face. This is some good stuff. It was hallucinogenic, and the feeling of the LSD was just wonderful for me. Anyway, having said that, from that day on, I didn't have to say it in words, but I could no longer look you in the eye and say I'm an atheist. I could not consider myself an atheist anymore. There is no way, because the power, when you're on LSD, you feel the power of the universe, of nature, of the amazing synchronization and perfection and the beauty of the creation, and how everything fits in so wonderfully and so perfect on the one hand. And on the other hand, you see how shallow and hypocritical is society, how fake and how phony. LSD shows you this. How phony and how superficial and how fake everything is, based on lies. And everybody lies and pretends. LSD shows you this. It's pretty damn deep. I'm not recommending it here to nobody. Okay? Maybe you should take something more natural, like the natural things, hallucinogenic plants of the earth, like peyote or magic mushrooms. But I tell you what, everything in excess is bad. But we went to it. I went to it in excess. I exceeded myself because I loved that drug so much, but I overdid it. We'll later get into that. Not now. But at the beginning, it was just so wonderful. And it did show me, then I became a child of the universe. I saw how beautiful love and everything made sense. I'm telling you, I'm not going to keep talking about my LSD trip or the effect it had on me, but it changed my life, and I was never again the same person. You're never the same person again when you take LSD. It changes your life forever. It does. I mean, you become so different, and then other people, normal people, people from system people, society people, start to see you as weird. Oh, gee. They say, this guy's weird, man. Look at this. Listen to what he's saying, or the things he talks about. He's just, what's wrong with him? He's strange. These people are strange, man. They're not from around here. They're not one of us. Well, that's kind of like the segment 2 of what happened after the tragedy of living such a nice, protected life, and in a society boy, a society child, and then turning into a damn hippie, an LSD, a drug freak, a marijuana toker, man. Marijuana was my religion, and LSD was my religion. And I found love and beauty in these things and in the hippie revolution. And it goes with the music. The hippie revolution, one of the most things, not only was marijuana and LSD, which were good drugs, but also the music. The music, they were the Pied Pipers. The Pied Pipers of the hippie revolution were these great rock and roll people like Jimi Hendrix and Led Zeppelin and Janis Joplin, and I could go on and on endlessly. The Doors. They were the leaders. The leaders. They were the shepherds of the flock. And so the people that were into the hippie revolution and on LSD and smoking marijuana like there was no tomorrow, they really followed in and tuned into the lyrics of these songs. And it was a revolution in protest against the war in Vietnam. Make love, not war. Sex. Free sex. Free sex, man. Hey, free sex. Where? It was beautiful, man. The whole idea, the whole structure of the hippie revolution, man, it's changed the world, man. But then later, you know what happened, right? The whole thing got smashed down, man. But we're gonna get into that in our next segment, so stay tuned with the hippie pastor who loves you. I love you. I like you. I like you.